Hey guys, welcome to It Is Well podcast. I'm Destiny, and I'm so excited to be back with you all today. It's been a minute, and I know that I always say it's been a minute every time I record a podcast because it has, and I apologize. But a little recap of what I've been up to for the last month or so. I went on a 2 weeks missions trip to Costa Rica, and it was such an amazing time. I loved every bit of it. I met so many new friends, and I have friends who have become family to me, and we ministered in different cities and had church in different churches in Costa Rica. We did street evangelism. It was an awesome time, and I was just so blessed and so grateful to be just to have a small part of the big thing that God is doing in Costa Rica. And God's doing big things in Costa Rica and all around the world. And who knows, maybe I'll make a podcast episode talking about the mission trips that I've been on. I've been on 2 mission trips. I've been to the Dominican Republic in 2023, and I've also been to Costa Rica, and I plan on going on more. Missions has a very close place in my heart, and I'm also currently packing and getting ready for church camp. I feel like it's such a full circle moment because I grew up going to church camp every summer, and a lot of my growth with Christ and a lot of my healing happened in those campgrounds. And I remember being like 12 or 13 thinking like, oh my goodness, when I get older, like I want to sing on the stage. I cannot sing. I am not a singer, and I will never be a singer. But I'm at the age where I'm no longer a camper, but now I'm a counselor, and I get to give back to the same place that helped me grow up. And I'm so excited to see everything that God's going to do at camp, and I'm excited for next week. And then the week after camp, I'm going to Youth Congress. And if you don't know what Youth Congress is, it's a big youth event that happens every 2 years, and about 30 to 40,000 young people have like church services for about a couple of days, and it's a lot of fun. God moves powerfully, but I'm like, the next 2 weeks I'm not even gonna be home. So I was like, I need to record episode 5 and post it, because I won't even have time to record anything else those 2 weeks. So here I am of episode 5 of the It Is Well podcast, and the title is called After Your Heart. And this one is really personal for me. It's not just something that I felt led to share, but it's something that I've lived. And I'm going to be talking about chasing after God's heart, not just his blessings, not just what he can do for us, but his heart, his love, and his presence. And I believe a lot of times, many of us, at some point in our lives, we've tried to find love in wrong places, whether it's trying to find love in people, trying to find love in relationships, friendships, or we chase attention, we chase success, we chase money, we chase material things, and we run after things we think are finally going to make us feel whole again. And it never really does. Maybe for a moment it might fill up a little space, and for a moment you're happy, for a moment you feel satisfied, but when that moment ends, you start to feel empty again, or you start to think, what's the next thing that I need, or what's the next thing that I need to chase, or the next thing that I need to receive, or the next thing I need to get, because the things of this world is never really going to satisfy you, ever. It leaves us honestly wanting more. And what I've learned throughout the years in my walk with Christ, that the reason it doesn't work is because we weren't created to be fulfilled by anything but Jesus. In Jeremiah 31 verse 3, it says, I have loved you with an everlasting love. I have drawn you with unfailing kindness. God's love isn't temporary. It doesn't come and go. He doesn't love you when you're doing great, when you're succeeding in life and you're not falling short, you're not failing. He doesn't just love you then. He loves you in the good and he loves you in the bad. And his love is an everlasting love. It doesn't run out. It's not based on performance. It's everlasting. God's love is different. It's sacrificial. It's faithful. It's eternal. In Romans chapter 5, verse 8, it says, "But God demonstrates his own love for us in this: while we were still sinners, Christ died for us." He didn't wait for us to get it together. He didn't wait for us to receive that job promotion, to graduate college. He didn't wait for any of that. He loved us from the beginning. He loved us at our lowest, and he died knowing that we were going to fail him, and he still chose us. And that right there is a sacrificial love. That right there is a love that's never going to end. And when you get a glimpse of this love, that love, it truly changes you, and it changes you for the better. That love pulls you out of the grave. That love gives you a reason to live. It gives you a reason to continue. It gives you a reason to dance. And I knew at a very young age that I was going to dedicate my life to God and to the kingdom of God. And it's because he saved me when I was in a dark place, when I was broken, when I was empty, when I was carrying pain and I was carrying burdens that a lot of people around me didn't see, and a lot of people around me didn't know, like, this is what I was going through. But God pulled me out of that. I didn't stay in that emptiness. I didn't stay in that darkness. He healed me. He picked me up. And moments when there was nobody else, God picked me up, and God turned my life around, and he gave me a reason to live, and he gave me a reason to dance. And because of that, I choose to live for him. I choose to worship him, and I choose to dedicate my life, my whole life, to building his kingdom. And a lot of times when you start walking with Christ, and when Christ changes you and you start doing things differently, you start living in a godly way, a lot of people, they won't understand that. They won't understand why you will give up this lifestyle that you had, or this lifestyle you were doing before Christ, to go to church. To go to church events, or to go to volunteer for church summer camp. They won't understand that. And I've had people in my walk, I had people in my life question me. And I remember they were questioning my walk. They were questioning, like, do you really have to go to church 3 times a week? Do you really have to go to this church event? Like, you just went to one last month. Do you really have to go to church summer camp? Really? Like, you already go to a Christian school. Like, you're already, have church Monday to Friday. Do you have to do more? Or like why did you start dressing like this? Or why don't you do this? Or why don't you do that? And the people who are questioning me, like, they honestly didn't really, number one, they didn't really have a relationship with God. They kind of knew God, but they didn't really have, like, a relationship with God. And number two, they didn't really know my story, my testimony at the time, because at the time I didn't really talk much about my testimony. And the thing is, I didn't get offended. Like, they were talking to me and they were asking me these questions, and I could kind of tell that maybe, like, a part of it was innocent, and maybe a part of it was kind of like mocking, like, do you really have to do that? But I didn't get offended. Honestly, I didn't really, like, I was like, you know what? This is a perfect opportunity to tell you about my God, to tell you about everything that he's done for me, because people don't know. They don't know your story. They don't know. They didn't walk the shoes that you've walked. They didn't endure the pain that you went through. They didn't know my story. They didn't know that I was in brokenness, that I was empty, that I felt like I couldn't be loved, and I felt like I wasn't worthy of love. And that Christ came and he turned my whole entire life. Like, they didn't walk my shoes. They didn't cry the tears that I cried. They weren't there on the nights when I felt like giving up, but Jesus showed up. they weren't there. So that's the perfect opportunity to tell you, like, hey, like, let me tell you everything that God has done for me. And then you can ask me why. And then that's the reason why I do what I do. And it's funny how just one moment, just one touch from Christ can truly change a whole situation, can change a whole life. Just one touch from Jesus. And I had a podcast episode called Just One Touch, and that was my story. Just one encounter with God, and my life completely turned around, because the week that I got saved and the week that I gave my life to Christ, earlier that week, that also, let me just like say this, I have episode number 1 of my podcast is my testimony episode, and that's where I talk about my testimony and everything that God has healed me from and God has brought me through. But just one touch, just to recap a little bit, the week that I got saved, I felt really unworthy, and I felt not loved, and I was broken, and I felt very empty, and I felt very, very shameful too. And I was going to a Christian school, and in that Christian school, my teacher was talking to me and teaching me about the love of Christ, because we had Bible class, and we had chapel every week. And that week, earlier that week, my father had told me that he was never going to love me the way that he loved my other siblings, and that broke my 12-year-old heart. And I just felt like, I can't be loved. What is wrong with me? Like, what do I do wrong? And I was starting to become numb, because other stuff had happened to me, and it was just like pain after pain after pain. I couldn't take it anymore. I was starting to become numb. And then I was in chapel, and the missionaries came, and they were speaking about the Holy Ghost and about Jesus and about salvation. And I was just thinking, maybe this God, maybe this Jesus that my teacher is talking to me about, maybe if I just give him one try, maybe I'll feel this love that they're telling me he'll be able to give me, that I'll receive. Maybe I'll feel something if I give Jesus a try. And that's all it took. It took one moment, it took one touch from God that turned my whole entire life around. And from there, my whole life has been dedicated to God and his kingdom and his love. And I'm saying this for myself because I truly believe it, and I lived it, and I've walked it, and I'm a living, breathing testimony that there's nothing else on this earth, there's no one else on this earth whose love is ever going to satisfy you like the love of Christ. And I've lived it, and I've been with God's love, and I've been without God's love, and I love my life with the love of Christ. And God is forever chasing after you. And one of my favorite people in the Bible is David. And David messed up. David was human. Just like we're human, he messed up, and he failed, and he sinned, and he fell. But still, God called him a man after my own heart. In Acts chapter 13, verse 22, it says, I have found David, son of Jesse, a man after my own heart. He will do everything I want him to do. David didn't chase perfection. He chased God. Even when he failed, he repented. He came back. His desires was for the heart of God. And that's the kind of pursuit that I want in my life. Not a performance, not a perfect record, but I want a heart that says, God, I want you, I want to know you, and I want to be close to you. I want you to be the center of my life, of it all, of everything that I do, and everyone that I'm around, and everything that I say. I want you to be the center of it all. And maybe you're listening to this and you're realizing that maybe you've been chasing everything but God. Maybe it's approval, maybe it's people, maybe it's success, maybe you're doing ministry, but you forgot the why. the reason why you're doing your ministry. And you're not alone. I've been there and I've done that. And today I just wanted to remind you that God hasn't moved. His heart is still open, his arms are still wide, and his love is still for you. And all he wants is you. Not your perfection, not your titles, just your heart. And Psalms 27 verse 4, it says, "One thing I ask from the Lord, this only do I seek, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all my days of all my life." Sometimes we just have to take a second to pause, reset our thinking, and go back to our first love, Jesus. And a reminder that I always say is, if I have you, I have everything. But without you, I want nothing more. And this was something that I really learned when I went on my first missions trip to Costa Rica. When I went on my first missions trip to the Dominican Republic, I came home with a changed mindset, and it truly humbled me, and it changed my perspective on a lot of things. And that was really what I learned. Like, if I have Jesus, I have everything that I need. Everything that I need, I have in him. Because he is Jesus. He is my everlasting Father. He is my Prince of Peace. He is my healer. He is my way maker. He is my promise keeper. He is my everything. I don't need anyone else on this world. I don't need anything else on this world if I have him. He completes everything. And I remember going to the Dominican Republic, and whenever I talk about this trip and I talk about this mission trip, I always say that I've been to so many conferences. I've been to conferences with hundreds of people. I've been to conferences with thousands of people. I've been to big churches and I've been to small churches all over. And I never felt the Spirit of God as strongly as I did in the Dominican Republic, in a church that had no AC, a church that had no electricity, a church that didn't look like a church that we're used to. But that is the strongest that I felt the Spirit of God. That's the first time that I've walked in a room and I've actually felt faith rising in the room. And the cities that we ministered to, and the cities that we helped and we gave food to, there were cities that, they're a little bit more like poor cities, and they didn't have the things that we have here, and their houses are not like ours, and they're, they don't have much. But if you walk the same roads that we walked on, everybody's outside, they're playing, and they have smiles on their faces. And when we're giving them food, we're passing out food to them, they're welcoming us to their home, and they don't have much, but what they have, they offered to us. And they were so loving, and they were so grateful, and they were so thankful, and they were so happy and joyful with the little that they had. It changed my heart, and it changed my perspective. And it's because Jesus is their everything. They don't have, I'm blessed to live in a country where I have amazing doctors, and we have this medicine that can help us. I'm truly blessed, and I don't take it for granted. But if we go to other countries, people don't have the resources that we have. They don't have like the doctors that we have. And when they're sick and when they're in need, who they go to? They go to Jesus, because Jesus is their answer to everything. Because if they have Jesus, they have everything. And the little that they had, they didn't need more, because it was more than enough. And they were so grateful. And I came home so humbled that I have everything. I was like, Lord, forgive me, because I have everything that you can ever think of, and I'm blessed, and I don't take it for granted. I'm blessed to live the life that I live. And there's times in my life that I think that I want more, or I think that I need more, that maybe if I get this, I'll be happier. No, I'm not going to be happier. Like, it's not going to satisfy me like the love of Christ. And I'm I started to learn that I just want to chase after God's heart. I don't want to chase after worldly things. I don't want to chase after materialistic things. I want to chase after God's heart. And I want to get to know Him more. And I want to draw near to Him. And I want to be fully, everywhere that I go and everywhere that I go, I want to show the love of Christ. And I want to love others how Christ loves others. And that's all I really care about. And that's something that I learned in another country serving and doing ministry that changed my perspective forever, is that when you have Jesus, you already have more than you will ever need. And that is the It Is Well podcast. And this is episode number 5, After Your Heart. And I'm truly wish that you guys have an amazing rest of your week and amazing rest of your day. And I pray that you start to live in the love of Christ, that His love is everlasting and He loves you. In moments where you feel like maybe you don't feel loved, His love is the best thing ever. His love is so beautiful, and He loves you, that He came and He died for you, and He died for your sins, and that is the greatest love of them all. And God bless you guys. God bless you guys. I'm so happy that I was able to record this. I'm so happy to be here. And this is the It Is Well podcast. God bless you.